Today on the Magic for Life podcast, we have Jarem Atkinson. Jarem is an online marketing entrepreneur that helps dentists grow their practices by getting them new high-ticket patients more affordably than ever before. Jarem also runs and hosts a mastermind of like-minded entrepreneurs in Utah who love building online businesses using funnels. I'm excited to have Jarem on the podcast today. Let's cue the intro and jump right in. I've spent the last 20 years studying, teaching, and coaching people to find their greatness and take their lives to the next level. Along the way, it's become evident that emotions are at the root of everybody's successes and failures. Worry and fear are the enemies, and it's time to forge the armor and earn the tools to overcome the two things that could single-handedly destroy your future. Hi, my name is Michael Johnson, and I'm a life coach, a peak performance trainer, and I'm the emotions guy. It's time to take back control of how you feel, control of how you act, and control of how you experience life. It's time to become a lifer, a new breed of overachiever focused on living every minute to its fullest. We are responsible for how we feel, and no one and no thing can make us feel anything. Emotional mastery is our journey, and emotional education and intelligence is the key. We are lifers, and this is Magic for Life. What's up, lifers? Michael Johnson here with the Magic for Life podcast, and I'm excited that you joined me today because we have a very special guest, one of my mentors, somebody I look up to so much and have learned so much from in the short period of time that I've known him, Jarem Atkinson. Did I say it right?
Atkinson. Yep.
Yeah, I always, the T and the K always mess me up when I see it. I go, oh, wait. Okay. But anyway, we sure appreciate you joining us on the show. And gosh, I can't say enough. You guys are all going to hear about him now that you're here listening to the show, and you should go find out more afterwards, and we'll put all the links and everything, and you'll find out more about him. But I am so thankful that you're here today. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for allowing me to be here.
Absolutely. So you've been in this marketing game for a long time, and you've had such a cool story up to this point, and all the things that you've done, and what you're doing now is unique in itself. And so I just want to kind of start at the beginning and kind of take our audience on your journey so that they can learn more about you and understand how you got to this point.
Cool. Sounds good. Where's the beginning for you?
Where's the beginning? Well, back in the day, I was born on, no, we won't go that far, but like what got you going? Because you were in one of the original inner circles, right? With Russell Brunson, way back in the day. But did you get your start with marketing and all that stuff, all the business stuff before that and your entrepreneurial journey, or was that sort of the kick in to get you going?
That's a very, very good question. So I got started in my journey. I guess I'll probably go back to like college is probably a good starting point for me. When I graduated from high school, I actually got into architectural design and drafted for 6 or 7 years, mostly commercial, some residential, but kind of a mix of stuff. You know, we do little like restaurants here or there. We had a few big projects we did, like the Rio Tinto, the Real Salt Lake Stadium. We helped do that one. But I got into architectural design and was planning on becoming an architect and was, looking to go that direction in college. And I went and served a 2-year LDS mission. And I happened to luck out that while I was on my mission and kind of having that hiatus from school, that's when the economy tanked, right? That's when we had all the huge financial crisis and everything else you want to talk about, right? And I think probably the worst hit industry of all those was the housing market, right? So if you were in real estate, if you were in architectural design like I was, so I had, the rest of my mission to serve. And when I came back, I kind of realized like, hey, that's not really the field I want to go down. I love the drafting side of it. Still love it now today, but I wasn't super great when it came to math and physics and all that type of stuff that you need to become an architect. And so I kind of took a little bit of a pivot more towards business management and was going through, my beginning courses for that and had my first marketing class, like formal marketing class in college. And that's kind of what seemed to spark or start a spark within me. And switched again into marketing. And so I got my degree in marketing. And of course, if you've been to college and been through that formal setting, they don't really talk much about online marketing or digital marketing, or even the concept of a sales funnel. Like we all know, like the business funnel, and they'll talk about that. But anything that they cover in college is very, very basic, and it's at like the principal level. The principles are good. So going in through college, I was learning and kind of formulating my opinion and what I knew as marketing was, like the 4 Ps, right? And when it came to what do I want in a career, I wasn't sure. So I at the same time going through the rest of my degree, I had, I think, 5 internships through the remainder of my degree, because I wanted to get exposure to all the different types of marketing. So I had an internship with Walmart as an example, and it was kind of an internship for management at Walmart. So I got a chance to work in all the different areas of operating and managing a store. And that definitely wasn't for me. It was cool, really great experience, but I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. Like, even the people who are like the head managers of each location, they make very good money, but they are 100% tied to the store, and they work, depending on what it is, like 70 to 100 hours a week. Like, that's not for me, right? I did an internship in competitive intelligence, which is kind of a whole other ballpark, and that was really fun. There's some elements of that I kind of do now, but also did an internship in affiliate marketing. This was back when affiliate marketing was a lot of blogging and kind of the SEO game and that type of stuff. Anyway, a bunch of different internships, and came to realize online marketing in some facet or another was what I really wanted to do. And so I had exposure and experience in SEO, in blogging, did some work in running Google ads, and started to tinker around with Facebook. And this was about the time when the Facebook ads platform came out, and it really started to become a popular thing of running ads on Facebook. And I worked for a consumer tech company called Zag. If you guys are familiar with them, they make like screen protectors and cases, all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
And working with them was really, really fun. I got to do a lot of organic stuff on Facebook, as well as running paid advertising on Facebook, and really found that was a lot of like the bread and butter of what I like to do. I like that very direct approach of, let's create a sequence of steps or pages on a website. We now call that a funnel, right? But let's create a way that someone could purchase, a screen protector or a case on our website, and let's run some Facebook ads to it. And I loved that experience of like, right over here, I can directly put money into an ad, and then I can see if it's working or not in terms of people buying, right? And so I worked with Zag for, I think, a couple of years. And in the meantime, working there, I had, friends or family friends or people I'd run into in their own local businesses who, found out like, oh, I do Facebook ads, and they were really interested and said, well, is that something that could work for me in my business? And I honestly wasn't sure. Like, it had worked for Zag, we'd done really, really well, with different marketing campaigns and launches, that type of stuff. But to one family friend who happened to be a dentist, I said, I don't know if it's going to work. I'll definitely give it a shot, but I'm sorry, like I'll refund you if it doesn't work, because I'm not here to promise a result, because I'm taking like my online retail e-commerce knowledge and then trying to add it into advertising to get patients. And so there was a good tinkering phase. I tried a few things that definitely didn't work for this practice, and nailed down on a couple things that worked really well to help them get more patients into the practice, and kind of found that I loved and had a real passion for advertising and helping local businesses to get customers, or for this dental practice in their case, to get patients in the door. So eventually I left working for Zag and started my own business. This is my first business, Social Bacon, where I basically did Facebook advertising for local businesses. If it's somebody looking to sell a product, if it's like a dental practice looking to take on and get more patients in the door, if it's somebody who's looking to get clients for consulting or for any service, really, started doing that with them. And over some time, eventually found that like the dental niche was the niche that I was most passionate about. And so I kind of narrowed into that niche with a second business, dentalleads.com. But somewhere along that way, ClickFunnels had come out, and I had been following Russell for a little bit before ClickFunnels was a thing, back in his micro continuity days. So I've been following him, been following Frank Kern, been following Ryan Dice and other people like that. And at the time, I believe I was using an inferior product. Once upon a time, Russell called it Loki Pages and Confusionsoft, if you guys remember when
Yeah.
he was going about doing that.
Yeah.
And they were good. I to this day, and I told this to Russell when I was in this inner circle, I told him he never um, preached direct or bold enough about how bad Infusionsoft was. Even though he would go about sharing it, at one point I had gotten a big, huge, it was like a textbook, but really big. It was like 600 or 700 pages. And it was supposed to be like the comprehensive guide to using Infusionsoft. And it was sold to me by like an Infusionsoft expert. And the fact that this thing was 600 or 700 pages long just attests to how confusing it was, right? So anyway, I kind of talked to Russell about that and tease him a little bit about that. But ClickFunnels, when they launched as a beta product, they were a breath of fresh air to me. I was, tinkering with lead pages and Infusionsoft, and went over to ClickFunnels and tinker around with it for a bit. And of course, like most things you very first launch, they oftentimes don't work well right out of the gate. So I went over to ClickFunnels and I was like, dude, this is full of bugs. There's all sorts of things I can't do. And I left ClickFunnels and went back over to lead pages. And I think it was a month or two later, ClickFunnels is running advertising, and they'd said that they'd worked out bugs and made it more robust and stable and everything else. And so I switched back over, and like a lot of people, became a Russell fanboy, also a ClickFunnels fanboy. So I probably to this day have bought everything that Russell sold. Love ClickFunnels and use it every single day. So it's been pretty fun.
Yeah, what a journey. And you pulled the trigger early. I mean, like, to be able to go and jump into his inner circle straight away, and in that phase, I mean, that's a big step to have taken, to just be like, okay, I'm going to go do that, especially after bouncing twice. How did that happen?
Yep. I think it kind of happened just how Russell talks about it happening, the value ladder, as I'm sure you know that, and probably
Sure.
your audience does as well. I started at the bottom of that and naturally, escalated up as I found that ClickFunnels worked really well for me, and it became a good piece to my business, not just running Facebook ads for a local business. I used to work for a bunch of different businesses. I ran ads for a solar company, ran ads for a real estate company, ran ads for a few different coaches of different types. And of course it's you're only giving a partial solution if I just say, hey, I'll run ads for you. Like, I'll send people to your website, and then, good luck. I hope they convert for you and turn into, like, you could say that,
Yeah.
and you might be able to work with that client for a month or two. But of course, to make it long-term, you need to help them get a result, which is a new customer or a new patient or a new client or whatever it may be. And so I kind of found that to be a very, very crucial piece to, the overall goal of not just getting you leads, but getting you customers. And so it became a natural good upsell for me to offer. So it was easier in that process, where most of my competition was just running the ads themselves, where I said, hey, I'm going to go a step further because I understand the need. And
Right.
and most of them, as business owners, like, they don't want to get into the mix of that. All they want to do is be able to pay X and get Y. And of course, Y is more customers. So
Right.
yeah, it was pretty fun.
Well, and having both ends of the knowledge is huge. I mean, like, I didn't realize till later in my time knowing you that Facebook was something that you did ads with. Like, I just thought you were a marketing expert, like,
Okay.
from my knowledge. And then I was like, towards, I'd say probably months and months later, I was like, oh, you do Facebook stuff too. And I just thought you had the marketing knowledge on the other side. And so it's funny, that you started in the Facebook end of it. But so do you find yourself utilizing Facebook as a primary strategy in your traffic for your dental leads?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
For sure. Yes.
It's an interesting platform, because it seems volatile, but when you know how to use it,
And when you have experience with it, I mean, it's a gold mine, it seems.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think all the channels have their own challenges. Google is just as volatile in its own way. And so
Yeah.
there is, ebb and flow to it. Like right now, today, I mean, tomorrow's Thanksgiving, right? But we just finished up the U.S. Elections for president. That's definitely a volatile time when you're running ads on Facebook. Like, it's a time where I will normally pause my ads or scale them way back, just because, regardless of which side of the aisle you're on, the sentiment online is usually not the most positive ever. So when generally, large masses of people feel negatively about something online, their purchase behavior or their opt-in behavior is a lot less. And so there's ebb and flow to it. It's kind of fun like that. So
yeah, crazy. And you have done some stuff, and the reason I found you was because of a mastermind that you put together. Tell us a little bit more about why that came about, and what you were thinking, and why you did it, and
oh yeah, okay.
What it's about.
Yeah, that's a good point. So I created a little group. We call it the Utah Funnel Builders. I kind of got the idea of it from being in Russell's mastermind. Of course, being in that mastermind, being able to work directly with Russell and get his direction on things is priceless. It's wonderful to have his input on campaigns you're running and ads you're running, all that type of stuff. But in addition to that, one of the things I really love being in that mastermind, and especially being earlier on in the ClickFunnel days of cracking open the software and trying to build something. This is before they had all the resources they have now, where they have, eons and eons of knowledge and trainings and videos and everything else. I was trying to figure out a lot of it on my own. And it was really, really cool being able to go to the mastermind and meet other like-minded entrepreneurs who a lot of times are going through similar challenges to what you're going through, and be able to soundboard with them and bounce off ideas for different campaigns, or hear about somebody like I had a buddy who was in the weight loss space. As different as that is from my space in the dental space, I'd find, hey, there were really awesome campaigns and strategies that he employed in his business that worked really well, and there were components to that I can employ in my business that worked really well. And I love being able to rub shoulders with people like that, who, again, were in a similar situation, and be able to learn things that otherwise I would not have known before. And I think that's one of the cool things that Russell actually gets from the mastermind. He definitely is a very knowledgeable expert there in the room when he teaches and trains all of us. But there are definitely people that he learns a lot from there in the group. There are people who make more money than Russell does in that group. And so he's as much, soaking all the energy and information in from the group as somebody like I am. And I definitely never felt like I was like in the room, like you have all these experts. I always felt like I'm on the bottom of the totem pole, just trying to take in what I can. And I don't feel like I have any, huge amazing find to share with the group. But anyway, that experience of being able to learn from other people and get input was something I wanted more of. And I felt like, hey, this should be something that we could have at a local level. Of course, there's a lot of people now who use ClickFunnels, but I always felt like, even though I call myself a situational extrovert, I feel like by default, I'm an introvert. Like, I'm fine working in the man cave and tinkering, and I don't need to talk to anybody for days on end. But occasionally I need to, and I feel like when I need to, I can turn that on. And I feel like even when we're in this wonderful virtual setting where we can talk to anybody from all around the planet, there's an extra, almost like an X factor level of connection you get with somebody that you can meet in person. And especially if you're, looking at down the road, like, hey, I'd love to do a JV deal with somebody. I'd love to, build an affiliate relationship with somebody. Like, there's a certain level of trust that you get by having that in person. And so I thought to create this group, Utah Funnel Builders, as a local group. So really I think these, I know I preach them till I'm blue in the face, but like the two rules for our group are: you need to be an active user of ClickFunnels, and you need to live in Utah. You'd be amazed how many people push on those two rules, right? Like, we wanted the first rule of being an active user of ClickFunnels, because we don't want lurkers. We don't want people who are, thinking about using ClickFunnels and, well, I might use it, but like I use a software that's similar. Like, no, I don't want any of that. Like I want people who are actively engaged in it. And I want people who live in Utah so we can have in-person meetups, because there's really, again, that X factor level of relationship building that comes from having that in person. So I kind of created that just to have that in a group, and have kept it very open-ended. We get people in there who are very, very successful, 2 comma clubs several times over. And we get people who, just signed up for ClickFunnels yesterday, and they're just learning the ropes and all that type of stuff. So it's been really fun to have that group and to be able to connect and network. And like I said, be able to learn from each other.
It's been fun and super eye-opening to be part of the mastermind, and I was telling you before we started the interview that it was really game-changing for us here at Majic for Life, and it really was. It's amazing to me how awesome it is, and it's not news.
Mm-hmm.
Napoleon Hill talked about it ages ago in Think and Grow Rich, and we've read about it. And I mean, for goodness sakes, if you haven't read Think and Grow Rich, go get a copy. I mean,
probably get it at the library, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's public domain now. Like, for goodness sakes, like, read the thing. But so we know that masterminds are important, and it's 3 or more is automatically a mastermind. But having been in Russell's inner circle, you said that kind of inspired you to do it yourself and
Mm-hmm.
bring us all together, which I'm so incredibly thankful for. And I think there's a lot of entrepreneurs, and as I talk to entrepreneurs out there, especially aspiring entrepreneurs, that have this feeling of bootstrapping it and like, okay, I've got to do it myself and get it going. And I can say that because I was one of them as well. I'm going to make it and build it myself and do it myself and figure it out myself. And, tell us about your experience in that mastermind and in running your own mastermind and the benefits and the things that you do in a mastermind, because I think there's sort of like this other side of the veil kind of thing, like, well, what is it and what do they do? And if I got involved in one, what am I actually paying for? And,
Right.
that type of thing. So can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, sure. So it's definitely a cult. Right. We all come and we worship Russell, and we do a bunch of special ceremonies we can't tell anybody else about. And it's just weird, And anyway, it's no, it's not like that at all. It's really, really cool. So when I was in Russell's group, he capped his mastermind at 100 people. We never met like in our mastermind meetups in that big of a group. Usually he broke them out into 2 groups. So it was at a max of 50 people. Not because of COVID, because that wasn't an issue back then, right?
Right.
But we'd meet together, and it sounds cheesy, it sounds corny, but it felt to me like Sunday school, right? They'd turn all the chairs, so you're in like one big circle, or I guess it was like a really long, like semicircle, and you'd have someone who would present, and usually this was over 2 or 3 days, because you get 50 people in a room, and it takes some time. Each person in the room would get time to present, usually. I think it was about a half hour is what they gave us. So if you do the math right there, it takes 25 hours. And of course you have breaks and everything else in between. But the main concept of how Russell ran his mastermind was, someone's going to come and present, like I'd present, and I would start by sharing a couple things that were awesome, key takeaways or successful things I've been able to implement in my business, in my marketing, in my funnels, that have worked well for me. Right. And I'm sharing that with a group to, if somebody else can glean something from what I've experienced and, some recent growth or something that I've had in my business. It's kind of a great thing that you start out with. And then, the main important gist of it is after I share that, then I may have 1 or 2 problems or roadblocks or, snags that I've run into. Again, it can be in my business. It can be the operations of my business, working with employees. It can be in my marketing, in a particular type of campaign. Maybe something's not working in a webinar for me, or I'm struggling figuring out how to write a book, or like whatever it is, right? One or two problems that I voice into the group. And then I have the opportunity to listen to everyone else in the mastermind provide their input. So Russell, of course, since he's the owner and operator of the mastermind, he kind of leads the discussion, introduces people and all that type of stuff. And so his advice is, probably to a level higher than everybody else's. But everyone has the ability to provide input to share what they'd like to. And so really a lot of the strength of the mastermind comes from who is in the mastermind, right? Like we're not trying to judge, but if I have someone over here who's, made 8 or 9 figures versus somebody who just started yesterday, like you might to yourself even just, weigh their opinions a little bit. But it was really, really cool to have that experience, because, I'd come there and I'd have these problems that I voiced to people, and they suggest solutions, and I'd bring a little recorder so I don't miss anything that is said, and I'm jotting down notes as well. And it's just really, really powerful to learn from other people who, had figured out the problem that I was having, because they may have had the same exact problem in a different industry. And they may have found a solution and been making some crazy good money. Right. And it was just really powerful to get the direction like that, and have it be from someone who's actively engaged in it. Right. It's not, I think of college or even back to high school as an example. It's not like, the professor gives you an answer and says, hey, you should go and do this. And that teacher never actually went and did that themselves. Right. It's people who right here, right now are engaged in the same challenges and what they're going through. They're sharing as a solution. And that's not their business. Their business isn't, here's what you should go and do. Like, it's like, hey, I did this and it worked for me, and here's how well it worked. And, the people who prepared really well would have good specifics around things. Like, here's the type of campaign, here's how much we put into advertising, here's how much it costs us to do X, Y, Z. So it was very, very specific, not just kind of a generality. And so I love that experience of getting help like that. Like I said, sometimes it was intimidating. Sometimes, everyone's at different levels. Like I don't remember what the problem was that I'd run into, but I went one time and kind of shared my information, and I had, oh my heck, what's her name? The lady boss.
Oh yeah. Kaylin.
Kaylin and Brandon Poland, and they provided direction to me, and they had just closed, I don't even remember how much it was. It was a couple million in a month. Like, they closed some big business, and she sells low ticket stuff. Like, if you take all of her upsells, I think it's like $300, maybe $400.
Wow.
Like, very, very low ticket. And she sells tons and tons and tons of people.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was just really, really valuable to get their insights and their advice. And of course, what Russell says, a lot of people have talked about this, and it seems like a funny little joke, but it was a popular phrase, do what Russell says. Right. And I recommend that. And I'd seen people who would come into the mastermind, and Russell would recommend, like, hey, I know you're passionate about your business, but you shouldn't do it this way. You should do it this other way. And you'd see people who would not listen to that advice, and they continued in their same rut. Like, yeah, you're still spinning tires in the ditch. Right. And the people who would just, have a slice of humble pie and do what Russell says, even though he's this baby face guy over there, and even though he may not know your business as well as you do, I've only seen people be radically and wildly successful by doing what he says. And so that was a really cool piece of it as well.
Yeah, I mean, and that's been the case. I think I've seen that over and over and over again. Just
absolutely
do what Russell says, and you're good. And you're
good. Of course, when we were in the mastermind, it was really nice too, because you come away from those meetups, and those meetups were, I think they were quarterly, or they may have been semi-annually. I don't remember the cadence exactly, but when you paid to be a part of that mastermind, we had direct access to Russell. So, even when we got direction at a mastermind to do, XYZ in our business, sometimes there were questions, like very, very in the weeds tactical questions of, well, how do I do that with this or that? and, we could Vox wrestle directly and get answers pretty much every day. So it was
Wow.
really, really powerful to have that insight and that help. So
That's huge. And
yeah.
so you've taken that and you've turned it into your mastermind that you have. And one of the, qualifiers, like you said, is that you have to be actively using ClickFunnels. And I can't even tell you how appreciative I am of that, because there is sort of a great thing that comes about when you walk in the room and everybody's using ClickFunnels, and
Yeah.
that we're all, even if they're at the start, it doesn't matter, because you're like, oh, okay, let me help you, because I worked on that for ages and finally figured it out. Let me save you 3 months of time trying to get that. So
Absolutely.
it's super, super helpful. But you've done a lot of that in our mastermind as well. So tell us a little bit more about some of the things that you've done in this mastermind in the Utah Funnel Builders, and some of the things that you're doing there. Because obviously it's not, if you're not in Utah, sorry guys, all you out
Yep.
there in the world, sorry.
Yeah, but super relevant. But take note, like this could be something you could implement wherever it is that you live. That's definitely a good possibility. So I created my group, my mastermind. It's not a nonprofit, but I didn't create it with the intent of making money. Like it's very separate from my business, running advertising and building funnels and that type of stuff for dentists. I created it again, like selfishly, just because I wanted that interaction. I wanted that insight from other people. I wanted the networking. So even though I created it, I'm not. It's not so much apples to apples. Like Russell made his mastermind, so he leads it out, and here's mine. Like it makes more sense in Russell's mastermind, where he's come out with .com secrets, expert secrets, traffic secrets. Like he has his frameworks and things in place. And so a lot of his mastermind is about, how are people falling in line, with that framework. Like mine's much more open-ended. Like I've created it, but like it is a group you need to pay to be a part of, but literally every dollar that comes in payment for that just goes to support us having the group. Like I pay every month to rent a conference room for our meetups, or if we're doing it virtually, I pay to have the subscription to run it virtually. I pay to host it and to, make the recordings, all that type of stuff. And so with that said, like I said, it's much more open-ended. There's not like a specific, roadmap that we're following per se. So with that being so open, it has been challenging at times to know exactly the direction to go with it. I've had the group now for almost 4 years. It's been quite a bit. When we initially started it, it was, just a small group of primarily guys. I just say guys in general, but a small group of people who'd get together. And a lot of times initially, this was, when ClickFunnels was a lot younger and things were not as buttoned up. It was like the funnel math lab. If you remember, math lab back in high school and college, like the only way that I got passing grades in calculus and then calculus-based physics in college was I'd go to classes and I was in the math lab all the hours they were open. And I was just there like trying to freaking make sense of stuff. Right. And so initially when we created the group, it was more or less like that. Like, hey, I want to build, this funnel and I can't figure out how to integrate this other software with ClickFunnels, or I can't figure out how to build it the right way. And so a lot of it was, problem and solution. Like, let's just get together and figure out how to make sense of this. Right. And once we got a little bit better at that, and there were, more resources provided to us to help us in the process of building funnels, it took more of a shift. And even though like the common congruent theme for everyone in the group is, again, we all use ClickFunnels, right? So we are building funnels, and then, how you get people into the funnels and what you do and all that may differ, right? I run Facebook ads. There's other guys like Spencer Meekum in the group who's very, very good at the Google ads game, right? And we have other guys like Anthony Ambrose who's in the group who's phenomenal at the YouTube game, right? So we all have different, flavors of how we go about things, but within the group, we have the opportunity to share that insight. And more of the structure that we do now is each month we have someone who comes in and presents in the group. Sometimes it's been internally, someone who's a member of the group. Plenty of other times we've gone out and found another expert, and we've kind of given them the floor to present and typically share one aspect of like the overarching topic of online marketing, right? Like we've had people who have come and present on like how to build funnels, right? We had Catherine Jones on a few months ago, and she was talking about her design hacking approach. We had Randall Grizzle, who used to work for Russell. He was Russell's top closer. In fact, it sounds weird to say this, but like he closed me on purchasing the inner circle, right? So he sells very, very high ticket, like 25 grand is the lowest end that he sells, all the way up past $1 million, right? And so we had him come and present to the group on high ticket closing, right? And we've had people in like all these different topics who present to the group. And initially it was more so like lecture format, but we've tried to shift it to make it much more a workshop type format where they present. And because it's intentionally a fairly small group, I don't think we've ever had more than like 35 or 40 people in a meetup together. It's small enough that we can have it be workshop type style. And that's kind of an expectation that I look to each of our presenters to have. And I tell them, like, when they come in, because we're all familiar with Russell, we're familiar with like the perfect webinar approach. And I tell them, like, I want you to present, but this is not a perfect webinar. We've had people that we brought in and I paid to have them present. And if I paid to have them present, they couldn't pitch. And then we've had people who have said like, hey, it's free. I'm not paying you anything, but you can pitch something at the end. And I've said, again, this is not perfect webinar. Like, you will provide incredible, awesome, like value, like real things, like very tactical type stuff. Because I know what it's like to go to a conference or to go to a seminar or whatever it may be, or mastermind. And it's just a whole bunch of like raw, like motivational, like, hey, let's get up and crack open the software and build your dream, like there's a time and place for that. But like people are coming here to learn like how to actually get something done. And so it's taken on more of a workshop type format. And I think it's been pretty fun, pretty beneficial.
Yeah, it's been super fun. And you can go back and, I love that I can go back and watch the replays, and that's all in our membership area. And it's really great. Tell us a little bit more about your experience working with dentists and your company there, because that's a big part of what you do on a regular basis. And how does that all work, and what do you do with it?
Sure. So back when I created my first company, Social Bacon, like I said, we were basically running Facebook and Instagram ads for local businesses. A lot of them were service-based businesses, but we did have, some others outside of that. It comes with its own challenges doing kind of a local approach. One of the things I found early on, especially being in Utah, I love all the Utahns here, but Utah is, I've nicknamed it the DIY nation. Like everyone in Utah has this, like whether you're LDS or not, has this mentality. A lot of people, I should say, not everyone, has this mentality of like, you need to do it yourself and you need to find a way to do it on a ridiculously tight budget, right? And so initially there was a sizable challenge when it came to like, hey, I'll advertise for you, I'll get you business, right? And people are like, well, we just have like my daughter does it, or my nephew does it or something. And I'm like, dude, these people are like so like tightwad, like afraid to spend anything. And of course, like we're making the case for business. This isn't, do you want to buy this fancy vacuum for your house? Like we're talking about like, hey, you pay me X and I will get you Y, right? And so it was a challenge for some businesses. And I, over some time, had found that dentists were one niche that I really liked working with, because they were one of few like local businesses, where it's a small owned. I'm not talking about like a big corporate dentist, but we'd almost call it like a mom and pop practice, right? And it's one of the few businesses out there, one of the few industries where they take seriously the idea of a marketing budget, if they want to grow, that is, right? There of course are dentists out there who, and this is the one way I'll find when I talk to dentists, every dentist will tell me they want to grow. And then my next question is, well, how far out are you booked right now? Like if I want to come in and get a cleaning, how far are you booked? And right now we're in November, and I'd have somebody, oh, we're booking for March right now. I'm like, yeah, you don't want to grow. Like it's fine if you don't want to, but like they'll all tell me they want to grow until I find out they're booked 4 and 5 and 6 months out. So for the dentist who does want to grow, it's been really, really great to advertise for them because we can run ads, which of course costs money. It costs money for the funnels. It costs money to pay us, but dentists can turn that into a profit very quickly
Right.
if they know what they're doing. A lot of them don't, but if they know what they're doing, they can turn it in quickly, right? We all talk in marketing about the black box where we want to put $1 in and get $2 out. Well, for a dentist, you want to put $1 in and get 20 out, right? And that absolutely is possible. So it's been very fun like that. Every dentist does vary. We do still occasionally run into the DIY type dentist who wants to be in the weeds of what I'm doing. And sometimes that can work, but usually I'm trying to suggest to them like, hey, you went to school, you spent several years and hundreds of thousands of dollars to get good at your craft. Go do your craft. Okay. You do that and let me do what I can do, which is getting butts in seats so you can take care of them. Right. And so that has been a fun challenge. Every dentist is different. I'll work with some dentists, like the first practice that I worked with. I still work with them today. They are 2 brothers in the practice who are both dentists. They have really great marketing heads on their shoulders. So they love to be part of the discussion of marketing and offers and, campaigns and certain strategies, all that type of stuff. Right. We go from that type of dentist all the way to there are practices I work with where I've never even met the dentist himself or herself. Like they love coming into the practice, checking in, taking care of patients and checking out. Like they're not super crazy, amazing bedside manner or, talking to patients. They're just very, very good at what they do. And they lean a lot on their office managers to run things and to know the costs of everything. Like so many of these dentists don't know anything when it comes to finances for the practice.
Right.
Nothing. Right. And it's if they're doing that, I guess it works for them, but it's been fun to have that variety of, what type of dentist are you? So like, is my end goal, am I going to be working with you directly or am I working with the office manager and is he or she the main point person who I talk to? So there's some good variety there.
It seems like that's a thing. And I think we can pull that out a little bit for all the entrepreneurs listening is that, sometimes you spent a lot of years doing and getting good at the thing that you're doing. Do that thing, and then utilize people like Jarem to get the marketing and that side of it working the way it needs to. And you do your thing, and that's okay, and it's
Absolutely.
good to learn about it, but you don't have to become the expert at it. You just need to know enough about it to be able to find an expert. And I find that a lot too with personal development. I see the marketers out there. They all want to teach mindset. They all want to talk about mindset. They all want to tell you about how they had their coach and their coach told them this. And they all teach it as if they were the ones that went and studied it for 20 years. I'm like, well, actually you studied marketing for 20 years and thanks for the motivational speech. But, we need to get in a little bit into the weeds of it and get it to work. And I appreciate that they want to be involved and some of them don't. They just want to go, okay, well, help me work that out. And that's cool. So it makes a lot of sense. Jarem, we like to do this lightning round. I kind of stole it from John Lee Dumas, right?
Okay.
We want to do a lightning round at the end, but for what we talk about, I love to talk about emotions and I love to talk about our operating systems and how we function, how we operate as entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs and even just in general, it's easy to get lost in this idea that we're all by ourselves and that we're experiencing and feeling things that nobody else is. And I'm on an island, so It's always fun to do this. So this is our lightning round. I call this our go-to emotions. And so we'll talk about what your go-to emotions are in different categories. And we'll go from there. It's pretty easy. It's straightforward. It's quick.
I'm already feeling emotionally nervous, right?
Okay. Yeah, you should. It's good. No, I'm just kidding. So when things are going well in business, what's your go-to emotion?
I feel very relaxed.
Okay.
Feel confident.
Nice. And when things are going poorly in business, what's your limiting emotion?
Ooh, limiting emotion. I feel nervous. I feel I don't know, worried, concerned,
Yeah. Okay.
stressed.
And when things are going well in partnerships that you've had for business specifically, what's your go-to emotion?
Uh, Outgoing, probably.
Okay.
Just feel really, really open and optimistic. Yeah.
Nice. And what's the limiting emotion when things are going poorly?
Uh, Frustrated. Sometimes over analytical. Worried if I'm saying the wrong thing or not doing the thing I should be doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And coaching, there's two categories for coaching. One, when you are being the coach, and one when you are getting coaching, and you've done both so much that you have a lot of experience there. So when you're being coached, what's your go-to emotion when things are going well?
Excited.
Yeah,
Even more willing to follow what a coach is telling me.
sure. And what's your limiting emotion when things are going poorly, when you're getting coached?
Probably questioning, like, oh, does he even know what he's telling me to do? Does he know what he's
Right,
saying? Right.
right. Okay. And when you are being the coach and everything's going well, what's your go-to emotion?
Uh, Really excited for the coachee or whoever it is I'm coaching. Just
Right.
enthused for them.
Yeah. And when things are going poorly, what's your limiting emotion?
Um, Sometimes it might be frustrated that they're not taking the action or not getting the result. Other times it might be more introspective, like worried, did I give them the wrong direction or am I the best coach for them?
Right, right, right. Makes sense. I mean, I feel like we all have that, like in our thing that we're working with people, there's always that little bit, like, even though you've had results umpteen
Yeah.
times over, there's always that like, oh, did I do it all right? Am I doing the right thing? You know?
And it seems to come every time, right? Even
Yeah.
just a little bit, you're like, you know,
And it's funny because like we could have had like hundreds of successes and
it still
your stuff
comes.
works and it still comes. It's
Yep.
crazy. Okay. And your relationship, when things are going well, what's your go-to emotion?
Just like any relationship in general.
No, more like your significant other.
Oh, my wife.
Yeah.
Awesome. Very, very good.
Okay.
Very happy.
Okay. And limiting when things are going poorly.
Frustrated, nervous.
Yeah.
Don't want to be at home,
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And kids, how many kids do you have?
3.
3 kids, and they're turning into entrepreneurs too. I've got to see some of the things that you're doing
Yeah,
with
they're
them,
pretty
and
awesome.
that's awesome. So when things are going well, what's your go-to emotion for your kids?
Super happy, like want to party, mess around, probably a little more carefree.
Cool, cool. And when things are going poorly, what's the limiting emotion?
Honestly, I'm probably the drill sergeant out of me and my wife. So the commander,
Yeah.
the bossy type person comes out a little bit more.
Yeah, nice. All right, those are all the categories. I appreciate you sharing and being candid
Cool.
with us. It's I think it's just important that as we are all moving forward and trying to find that magic in our life and in our business and our relationships, our coaching, all of that, that we can hear that there are other people that are feeling the same way as us, and that we're not on an island. We don't have to go it alone. And I mean, what a good thing to finish with, talking about masterminds today and the benefit of them and the value that we found along the way. And that's pretty cool. It's pretty neat experience. And I can't thank you enough for all that you've done for us here at Magic for Life, and the opportunities you've created for us, the education you've given us. You've been a great mentor. And even if you didn't know you were being the mentor, which you're such a humble guy, but you are, and you are a great mentor. You're a great leader for our group. And for those that are in Utah, you should come check us out and check out the Mastermind. We'll put the link in there at the bottom of this. So if you need to find it, there's the link will be in the description. And of course, if you know somebody that is a dentist, they need Jarem, right?
That's
Jarem.
right. If you like your dentist,
Yeah.
that's probably the one thing I'd share. Like I don't advertise for just everybody.
Yeah.
They legitimately need to do great work. Like I've turned people down when I've combed through reviews and I can just tell like they're not a great dentist. Like it's
Yeah.
just, so if you love your dentist, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And honestly, you do a lot of work through referrals. And so all you entrepreneurs out there, send your dentist to Jarem, because for goodness sakes, he's going to rock their world and help their business. But anything else, any other projects you're up to that you'd like to share with us, or that you can tell anybody about, that we can lead them to you for? Because I'm all about promoting you if I can. You're who I look up to.
I've been toying with the idea of starting something. Of course, I've been, for some time running ads and that type of stuff for local businesses. And being that it is that we live in this DIY nation here in Utah, and anywhere you are, I've been toying with the idea of putting together a course of some type to help the aspiring business owner who may not be familiar with all this ClickFunnels type world, and who wants a little bit of direction there. So if that's you, or if you know somebody in that realm who's looking to get started in their business and needs a little bit of guidance on how to go about building a funnel, or doing whatever type of marketing they need to get more customers into their business, I'm working on something. It'll be localfunnels.com. That will be available for people who'd like something like that. So
cool. Well, that's exciting. I'll put that in, and we'll lead them to you at that site, and we'll make sure that's in the description. But I sure appreciate you. Can't say it enough. Guys, go check out Jarem at all his sites in the descriptions. And thank you so much for joining us today and sharing a piece of your experience and your journey with us. We sure appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Michael. Hope you have a good one.
Take care.
Hey, lifers, don't forget to get your free copy of the Every Minute Book. You can find it at everyminutebook.com. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram.